Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for July's Career Toolkit webinar series. Today, we are covering a very important topic, and that's the resume. So today, we've got a really fun kind of webinar where we're going to be interviewing two amazing industry representatives, where we're going to get their thoughts and feedback on the resume process, how to stand out on that piece of paper, but also what you can do beyond your resume as well to help stand out in the industry. So before we start, I would like to start with an acknowledgement of country. So in the spirit of reconciliation, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we gather from today and their connections to land, sea and community. I'm joining today from Minjin, Brisbane, the land of the Turrbal and Yagara peoples. We pay our respects to elders past and present and emerging and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Perfect. So my name's Alana. I am the Partner Success Manager here at ACS. My role is to support all our wonderful students and graduates all around the country. So if you've got questions about your membership, you're not sure, how to make the most out of it, or you're trying to use one of our benefits, you're more than welcome to reach out to myself. We also have the wonderful Jasmine, who is running the back end of the webinar today, and she's also our student engagement coordinator. So we're your go-to team if you have any questions, and always happy to reach out to us on LinkedIn or via email. Now, some quick housekeeping. So please note your microphone and camera have been turned off today. We are recording this session, so we're just keeping it off for privacy reasons. But please use the Q&A function. If you do have any questions, please keep populating in the Q&A function. We'll kind of ask those questions to the speakers towards the end of the session. But we do ask if you can avoid putting them in the chat function and use the Q&A one instead. But if you don't have access, pop them in there. Jasmine will move them over for you as well. If you have any questions that weren't answered during the session today, you can email us at acsstudent@acs.org.au and we'll organise for those to get answered for you. Now, please note there is a post-event email that will be circulated after today's event. So Jasmine will pop it out in the next few days. And then in a few weeks' time, we'll also circulate the recording as well. So if you do miss bits and pieces of this one or having issues with the sound, you can rewatch it back as well. Now, in regards to your CPD points, do know that they'll be allocated for you within the next 2 weeks. To get those CPD points, you are required to attend the whole session, so do please stick around. If you do have any issues with dialing in or internet issues and you're worried about those CPD points, again, more than happy if you email us at acsstudent.org.au, and we'll help you out with those ones as well. So I would like to introduce our two wonderful speakers for today's session. We've got the wonderful Stuart Brinsmead, who's the branch manager for Tasmania for ACS. And we've also got the lovely Julia Lane, Director of Skills Solutions Australia, and also is a committee member of our ACS TAS Branch Executive Committee. Firstly, thank you both so much for being part of this session. We really appreciate your time and your contributions. We might kick it off. Stuart, would you please tell us a little bit about your career and insights into your experience?
Thanks, Alana. So my name's Stuart Brinsmead. I'm the branch manager for the ACS, and I've been working in tech for about 24, 25 years now, which is a long time, but it's been a pretty amazing ride so far, and time goes quick when you're having fun. So many years ago, I wanted to get into tech, but back when I was young, you obviously had to go through university pathways, and it wasn't until I was in my late 20s that traineeship and vet pathways opened up. So I did a technology traineeship with the Department of Education in Tasmania in my late 20s, and got through that as fast as I could because I needed to start my career. I was late, I guess. So worked my way through up the education department in various tech roles and became an IT manager. But like most people in tech, I ended up having a fair bit of imposter syndrome. So I wondered if I was any good at it or not. So I had to leave and I went out into industry. So I worked in industry for nearly 4 years as a service engineer. So I had a whole range of different clients, from aged care to engineering firms to some of them were even corner shops. And I did tech support for those organisations and businesses, and I loved every minute of it. It was fantastic. And then I went after that. I went back to education as an IT manager in a fairly large Catholic school, and it was great because we took them on the journey from having no devices to students having devices and screens in classrooms and all that sort of thing. So I led a team of, at then it was one trainee and one tech. Then I moved to another school and had a much larger team of about 5 techs. And again, I made sure we had trainees. And then I wanted to move back to industry, but I got asked to develop what became an academic research centre and be a director of IT and e-learning at a large college. So again, had a fairly decent team of IT techs and also library staff that transitioned into academic research leaders. So their job was to essentially, if you want to know something, didn't matter if you were a student, a parent, or a teacher at this school, you'd come to the Academic Research Centre, and we got to spend about $10 million on a new building, a new facility, and built that team up, and it was fantastic. But once again, I started wanting to come back to industry, and best place to do that was to jump onto the ACS and join up as the branch manager here, and it's been fantastic. I've loved reconnecting with like a lot of people I used to work with, but organisations and big companies, and be on that cutting edge and the forefront of tech and technology. And I think we thrive on change, right? That's what we all want to work in tech for. We love how things never stay the same, and they're always different, and every day brings a new challenge or something really cool to look at and play with. So that's how I ended up here at the ACS, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you all today about resume secrets and give you some tips.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stuart. I know, ACS is so lucky to get to work with you, but it's amazing your history and what you've done in the industry as well. Julia, could you tell us a little bit about your career and the amazing work you do with Skill Solutions?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Julia. I'm the Director of Skill Solutions Australia. I started this company off the back of being the State Operations Manager for Navitas, where I ran the professional year program in Tasmania. I ran that for about 5 years. I'm not from the tech industry. I'm from education and travel, but I'm all about the people and helping you guys get on your path into the IT industry. I've worked in Tasmania in travel and education for the last, I don't want to say 15 years. So I'm pretty well connected in Tasmania. In my 20s, I actually lived in Europe for 10 years. I worked in corporate travel for American Express. 5 years of those years in Europe, I lived in Spain. So in Spain, I had to learn how to speak Spanish. I had to learn a brand new language. I had to go to job interviews speaking a brand new language. I had to work speaking in Spanish, which was obviously is not my mother tongue, and I had to work towards getting my permanent residency in Spain. So I really empathise, and I'm really passionate about helping my clients and then my students when I was running the PY program get onto that path, because it's a lived experience for me, and I had people that helped me, so it's time for me to pay it forward, I think. And that's my career. I won't go on forever, otherwise we'll be here till 6 o'clock if I've told you everything I've done. But yeah, I want to help and I want to give back, and I'm lucky to be in a position and have the contacts and the network here that I can do that.
That's amazing. And following you on LinkedIn, you offer so many amazing resources and support for our students and graduates. So to anyone online, if you haven't already, please connect with both of these amazing individuals online. Wonderful. So the way we're going to run today's session is we've got kind of 3 kind of key phases that we're going to go through with a number of questions, and then we'll do our Q&A at the end as well. So the 3 phases, we're going to start off with the first one, and that's understanding the tech hiring landscape. So Julia, what's your opinion on what's the biggest misconception job seekers have about the tech hiring industry today?
I think there's probably 2 if I think about it. I think the first one, and especially as a graduate, you think that you need to be a perfect fit for the role and that you have to address all the criteria and have had to do everything. For an entry-level role, the employers know that you probably don't have any work experience as such, especially in the state that you're living in. They're really looking for the potential that you have. So that's why everything, and we'll go through that as this session goes through, but what you put in your resume and the skills that you have that are either technical or soft skills are really important, that they stand out in your resume. Also, I think some people might think that your resume is going to get you a job or get you an interview. It's really important to have a network in the city that you live in. So joining the ACS, going to ACS networking events, Tas ITT in Tasmania. If you're a female graduate or student working in cybersecurity, you might look at joining the Australian Women in Security Network. They're always running events. Sec Talk's always running events. So just go to as many events as you can, network, connect with people on LinkedIn. And so when your resume comes up, people will go, oh, well, I know Julia Lane. I saw her at a networking event last month. So be known, start being known in the industry.
Amazing. And Stuart, what do you think is the biggest misconception? Like, what have you seen in the industry?
Yeah, similarly to what Julia was saying, that whilst it's important to make sure you have the skills to apply for a particular role, just bear in mind that when you're starting out in the journey, they are entry-level roles, and so the employer does expect to have to teach you on, what platforms and systems you're using, because there's no one size fits all with that. So. And I think what they're generally looking for now is a cultural fit. And what I mean by that is somebody that is able to integrate with their workforce. So somebody that's sort of open to different learning ways and really sort of understanding what their business and organisation is about. So I think it can be a hard industry to get into. And as Julia said, you've just got to really network as much as you possibly can. Always have some way of selling yourself and working out what your particular brand is, I guess. But yeah, just don't get hung up on, having to have the exact specific set of skills that you think the role might require, because what they're normally looking for, a lot of those applications have been pre-written, and what they're looking for is somebody that's going to fit in with their current organisation. So somebody that's eager to learn and is good fun to be around.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that cultural fit, I think that's one of the biggest learnings about COVID is you spend more time with the people you work with than your own family, which is kind of crazy when you put it in perspective.
Yeah.
But so Stu, when you were a hiring manager, when looking through resumes, what was the kind of first thing you looked at? What really pulled your attention to be like, they've got it or they don't have it?
Yeah, I was really interested to see have they worked anywhere. So I didn't mind. It didn't have to be tech. I just want to know what their previous work experience was. So have you worked for McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken, or have you worked at a corner shop, your parents' business, or in a previous industry? I want to know about that, because that kind of tells me, that you've had some experience with working, and also that you're sort of really wanting to get out there and contribute. You want to be part of, in some instances you need to survive, so you have to work. But that's the one thing that I really sort of look for. And then I kind of wanted to know about the person. Like, I can read through the tech skills. I know that you've got tech skills because you're applying for a tech role, but I want to know about the person. So what are your hobbies? What are your interests? Are you volunteering? Do you are you part of the local soccer team, or do you paint? I want to know that sort of thing, and that again comes back to that cultural fit. So work experience and who you are is what I'm really interested in.
And what I'm hearing there from Stu is, if you're an ACS member, you should put that on your resume as well.
100%.
That you're part of our community. Julia, do you have anything to add to that one? What's your standout when you are reviewing resumes that you look at first?
Yeah, I'll echo Stu. I want to know what you've done. And it doesn't matter if you haven't worked in tech before. I want to sort of say, as Stu said, I want to say who you are as a person, what you've done, how you'd fit into my team. And that you've sort of got yourself out there, and you might have been working at Woolies or driving an Uber, but you're not just sitting around waiting to get an IT job. You're still getting yourself out in the community. I think I've just thought of another misconception, which I find a lot with the clients that I take on. A lot of my clients are international students or graduates, and they have done a bachelor's degree in their home country. And when I have a look at their resume, they don't put their work experience that they've worked, what they've done before they came to Australia. So I don't know. I just think they have no experience at all. Put every job you've ever had on your resume, not when you were 16, but put things like if you've worked in the IT industry, where you were born, put that information in, because now I can go, okay, so they do have a little bit of experience working in tech. Might not be in Australia, but it's all universal languages that we're speaking when we come to tech. So that's really important to put that in your resume as well, because that's what I'm looking for, as well as who you are as a person.
100%. Now, this one's a fun one. So we've done a few webinars now where, you know, when we're networking, I've said the most common mistake I see is a student will walk up to someone and say, hey, you know, I'm such and such, I want a job. Or on LinkedIn, there's a post and they say, I'm interested. In the resume kind of side, what is a common mistake you see on a tech resume that you kind of just straight away go, no? Is there something that really stands out that's just like, that's a no-go?
Oh, you go, Stu.
I was going to say, I the one I don't like is a copy and paste application, because you can see them a mile off, and basic things sometimes, like if they spelt my name wrong or the organisation's name wrong, and you can tell that, and that really, I just start to feel then that, do you want the job, or is this just you're just scattering out a whole heap of emails? If I'm receiving a letter, for instance, it's personalised. It's written to me, and that's how I think of you know, applications or resumes. That if you're applying for a job with me, it should be written to me. So that's what I'm looking for. The other one is, I guess, around really understanding what the job requires. So don't just list every single qualification. Like, you want to tailor it towards, you know, the needs of the job, essentially. But yeah, that first one's the most important for me, that any application for the role needs to be written for the role and for that organisation, not just a copy and paste.
I'll add a couple of things to that. I won't reiterate what Stu's just said. I think one thing that always pops out to me, if it's a non-professional email, if it's an email you've had at a Hotmail address since you were 15, don't use that. Use a professional email address with your name, first name, last name. If you've got to put a number at the end of it, just make it professional. I get, it really irks me, and this is probably something little, I hate seeing the American spelling with Zs instead of S's. And it might not be a big deal to other people, but it's the first thing I see, and I'm like, hang on a second, you're not using Australian English. Get that Z out, put an S in. And that might be me being nitpicky, but it's honestly the first thing that I pick up in a resume. And yeah, like just like Stu said, don't add too much to it. Don't say you're an expert in something if you're not. So when you're looking at your resume, have a think about what questions you might get asked. And if you've written, I'm an expert in Python or whatever, and you're not, do not put that, because you will get asked. And it's going to be really embarrassing when you can't actually say you're an expert in something. And just the formatting, just make sure everything is formatted exactly the same font, same everything, because that sort of comes out as well.
That's definitely my biggest pet peeve. If I see the dot points don't line up, or, you know, the structure's not right, it's the first thing I notice.
Yeah.
And you got to love it when you read further into it and they say they've got attention to detail. To me, that just screams, not quite.
Yeah, do you? And I'm a bad one for it, and I've always got to go and fix it. And I'm like, I don't know how, but, you know, it is something that people do look at.
Stuart, did you have anything more you want to add to that one?
I wish we had the deck here, but a recruiter friend of ours has this amazing card deck which has all qualities like personality traits and things like that. And what you find, people often say, I turn up on time, I'm a hard worker, etc. But we miss out on all those other amazing qualities that humans have, like I'm compassionate, you know, I have empathy, I understand well-being, I look out for my colleagues, you know, I'm team player, which most people are a team player, but you know, the reasons why are you a team player? It's because, you know, I enjoy the company of others, I enjoy stories and things like that. So I think you have an opportunity in that very small kind of application letter to tell us who you are. And when we look at that in conjunction with what you've done, what your hobbies are, etc., we start to get a really good picture of this person, because the tech skills are kind of fairly regimented, right? They're, you know, you've got this, you've got this, you've got this, you've got this. It doesn't tell me who the person is. And so to try to use really descriptive words as to who you actually are, I think is super important.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, for the last question for this section is, what should candidates know about the applicant tracking system known as ATS and how they impact resume screening?
ATS is tricky. It's tricky. You've got to make sure that your resume, the template isn't fancy. So don't use a fancy template off Canva or anywhere like that. Don't put any pictures in it. Don't make fancy coloured backgrounds. No headers or footers, just images and logos, and so when you're going through the job description, as we said before, try and use the words in the job description in your resume and in your cover letter, because if it doesn't say anything, it will reject it straight away. It's really, really picky. It's a bit annoying actually, and I wish when I was applying for jobs before I started this job, I knew about that, because I reckon I got rejected because my resume was too pretty and I just had no idea of my resume was completely wrong. So why am I getting rejected all the time? That was why.
Oh,
just keep
wonderful.
it simple.
Brilliant. Now we're going to head into the next phase. So we're going to really start talking about how do you craft an effective resume. So how should candidates with no traditional tech experience showcase their potential in a resume? You
go first, Stu. I just got there.
Yeah, it's good. Like I spoke about earlier, though, what we're looking for is who you are, and talking to a lot of organisations now that we work with, that cultural fit, I think, just trumps everything pretty much now, because whatever tech skills you have right now will be irrelevant in 3 to 4 years, and sometimes even less. So if I look back to when I was at school back in the black and white days, all of those tech skills don't matter now. They're things. I mean, I probably can't remember. And if I go back to when I was a tech, which is over a decade ago now, a lot of the skills I had then now are fairly irrelevant. But what it does show, though, is that I have this willingness to change and to learn. So as you move through your career, I mean, that's why we're in tech, because we know that there's some skills that stand the test of time, but for the most part, whatever platform we're an expert on right now is not going to be the case in 5 to 10 years' time. So I just keep coming back to, I'm looking for somebody that I want on my team. Now, contrary to everything we've just said, I once hired someone that had the worst cover letter and resume I've ever seen. Like, it was the bits cut out and obviously photocopied onto a page, and it was not nonsensical, but anyway. But this person had been a commando in the army, but had an experience as a SIG, so essentially using they'd worked in tech, and it was just so interesting. We thought, we'll give him an interview and see how he goes. Now, the reason the resume was like that was because it'd been done on a base in Iraq or somewhere like that. And he turned out to be brilliant. Like, he was amazing. He went really well in the interview, got there and got through all that. But it was a compelling resume and a cover letter to look at, right? Because it was, I mean, it stood out because it was so terrible. But what came out of the words was what this person had done and who they were. And, they were obviously a great leader, and they had highly intelligent and had this incredible backstory as well. So that's why they got to the interview, and then through having a great interview, they got they got the role. So I think the words that you use in these things are so important, because they tell us who you are.
Yeah, I always like to see maybe like a project section to see what project someone's worked on at university and what role they played in the project. Even if you're doing personal projects at home and working on things, and working on different certifications, put those in. If you've got a GitHub link or a link to another portfolio of work that you're doing, pop that in as well, just so people can go and have a little look and see what you're doing. You might be working in aged care. You might say, I've just developed really strong communication skills because I work with a range of clients with a range of different needs. So that's helped me develop empathy, resilience, treating people with dignity. If I see that, you're getting an interview, because I'm like, right, you're going to be great in my team because you're going to care about people. Just little things like
Yeah.
that make a huge, big difference. And I'll teach you how to use everything else.
Yeah.
I think we call it in many years ago. I used to work in retail, and we'll talk then about this thing called features and benefits. So features don't sell, benefits do sell, right? So the feature is your qualifications; they're your features. Your benefits are your personality traits and the things that make you you. And so that's what people are really going to hire on, I think, is the benefits that you bring to the organisation. The features are there. You know, it's like saying a car's got 4 wheels. That's a feature. The benefit of that is it means it'll drive on a road and I can go somewhere with it. So, you know, in this instance, your personality traits, who you are the benefits, but also those projects that you've already completed, whether it be it a hobby or something you've volunteered for, whatever. Look at what the benefits of that project were and what they gave you as a person.
Amazing. I'm going to rewind it just a fraction because we've had a really great question come through. Could you elaborate more on cultural fit? This person said they find this term is often weaponized to discriminate against people who are not born in Australia, to use a more politically appropriate term, to reject you. So I guess, like, when we're referring to cultural fit, what do we exactly kind of mean?
Yep. So what we don't mean by that is we don't mean where are you from. So what culture are you from? It's more about the culture of the organisation. So what type of culture does the organisation have, and are you going to be a good fit? So do your personality traits make you a good fit for that organisation? So what I mean by that is, you think about the ACS, for instance. We're a not-for-profit, so we're here to help people. We're here for skills, to help you get your skills, to help you connect with other organisations and connect with networks and connect with industry. And so what are we looking there for? People that work for the ACS. We're looking for people, like I said earlier, that have compassion, that believe in what the ACS does, that want to help people, right? So I'm not sales driven, for instance, in this role. I'm not profit driven in this role. I'm here because I want to help people find their people or help them find connections. I can't get you a job, but I can help you find the skills and the people you need to connect to your industry. So what we mean by cultural is not which country am I from, what my background is. It's the culture of the organisation, and does my particular set of benefits that I bring to that organisation fit the culture. So what you can do there too is every organisation now has their list of
The core values.
The core values. So look for the values. Right, and then do I fit those values? You know, we have one here called Be Creative. So I know that I'm creative. You know, I play guitars and I can make things, and that's what I love. You know, I need a job where I can be creative, and so I talk about the things that I'm creative at. So, you know, if I'm applying for the ACS, I definitely put that I like to play in bands, I like to make music, I like to make things, because it fits that particular pillar. So that's I get what the question means. And unfortunately, I wish there was another word other than culture that we could use. But in this context, what it means is fitting the values of the organisation, and fitting within the team as well. Now,
it's about fitting in. I think I remember I asked a question of someone in an interview once, and I said, "Tell me about a time when you've dealt with a difficult person." And this person had explained that they were on their lunch break, and someone had come to help them, ask them for help. And this person said, "Well, I was on my lunch break, so why would I help them?" I told them that they had to wait half an hour and I'd help them later. But to me, culturally, I'm like, well, no, you're not going to fit in with my team, because you can finish your it might have taken you 10 minutes, finish your sandwich. That person needed help right now. So for me, they weren't a good cultural fit for my team, because my team all loved each other. We were like a family. And I knew that person wouldn't have been reliable or cared about other people in the team, you know. So you've got to be careful when you think about your answers for things like that as well.
That's a great example.
Yeah, and I think most people that lead these teams know that we need diversity on our teams for them to be effective.
Absolutely.
So I've inherited teams which are all of a similar background, and the same gender, and it wasn't an effective team. In fact, in some ways, that all worked against the team. And so as soon as you modify those teams and bring in that diversity, because that's what you need a diversity of background, a diversity of culture, and a diversity of experiences on all levels. And then the team really powers after that. And some people have areas where they're weaker than other people's can pick that up again. But if you have the same type of person in each of the roles, then the team just becomes quite ineffective. I found
definitely. So, Julie, you touched on about it's important to showcase personal projects or, self-taught learning. How can a candidate effectively kind of quantify their achievements in those kind of projects and things on a resume? Like, where would they reference it on there, and how can they reference that they've worked on something that necessarily isn't a direct job kind of thing?
Yeah, I think, as I said, I think I would probably put it under maybe like a projects and experiences heading in the resume, and just using it. It's almost like the STAR method. What was the situation? What was the task? What was the action? And what did you achieve? What did you do? So I can quickly read what you're trying to tell me. I'd put that in a section, the project that you worked on, and don't say. Sometimes I say. Some that might have been in the sales role, I grew the sales role by 100%, or sales by 100%. Well, that's great, but I need to know how you did it.
Yeah.
Why did it need to grow? How you did it? And it doesn't need to be like a huge long paragraph, just a couple of sentences, so I can see that you can showcase that to me.
Amazing. And Stuart, what technical skills should be highlighted versus what can be assumed as basic knowledge? We are seeing a lot of different degrees and diplomas and certificates coming through. When you receive that resume, how much are you assumed that they know these different types of tech compared to what they should actually put on there as their tech skills?
Okay. So that's a really good question. It depends entirely on the role. So if I'm hiring a trainee, for instance, right, I'm not even looking for, have you done computer science in year 11 or 12 or Digitech, right? They've already passed the aptitude test for the RTO and they've been given to me as somebody that has a basic level of tech skills. What I'm going to look for in that trainee, potential trainee, is have you worked, essentially? What projects have you done at home, as Julia said, and who you are? That's what I'm looking for there. If we move up a little bit and we're going into a all-rounder, like a tech, I want to know what your background is, what degree you've got, what you're proficient at again, but then I really want to see what examples can you give me. So not just say, SQL Wizard 4.0. I want to know what you do with that and how you use that particular sort of skill set that you have. The other thing is to make sure that you don't overqualify yourself for a job as well. So if you're coming in on an entry-level help desk role, just be careful not to smash me with a whole heap of technical qualifications and in detail what the degree is, because it's a help desk role, right? So it's entry-level. I just want to know. Can you do customer service? Can you, as Julie said, do you want to help people? Because that's what that role is. That's what we're looking for there. So you really got to tailor those technical skills to the job. Once you start getting up into the higher roles, then they're quite specific about what they are actually looking for. The problem is if an organisation though is using something, if they're using just a HR department that has never understood what the tech department does, you're going to get a pretty awful looking, you can tell them now, you get a pretty awful looking job set of skills. If they're using something like Sophia, it's great because Sophia has actually written basically the skills and competencies that's required for that specific role. But just try and work out from the ad what this is. If it's help desk, then I need basic tech skills, but what they're really looking for is somebody that's quite helpful. And then once you get that job, that's when you motor and you really prove what you can do and how good you can do it, and then you start to work your way up through the organisation or into other roles.
Brilliant. And Julia, from your opinion, how important are certifications versus practical experience in the tech hiring decision?
I think they're both equally as important, but I think what we keep going back to is the experience that you've got in who you are as a person and those soft skills that you've picked up along the way. I'm a really big believer in learning on the job. I think that you can teach anyone anything, unless you're a doctor. You're not going to let them do an internship or work experience with no experience. But, if your employer is really dedicated to helping an entry level person, they'll put the work into you, they'll put the time, they'll put the money, and they'll get you up to where they need you to be at in that. So it really just comes back to who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And then the rest will come, the rest will be learnt, and you will learn it.
It's a good point. I mean, if you've got your degree, I know what that level is. If you've got your diploma, if you've got your Cert 4, we know what the levels are. If you've gone out and done a heap of micro credentials, that's great because they're there as well. But if, again, like I say, just make sure you tailor what your quals are, tailor that to the job, and don't overdo it, because it is possible to overqualify yourself for a job. And I've done it myself. I've had probably amazing people come across my desk. All I'm looking for is a help desk role, and they look overqualified. Because that role, I'm looking for someone that's going to grow, potentially we're going to invest in, and then they may become a long-term employee. And what I mean by long-term in tech now is 3 to 5 years, right? So, you know, that's what we're looking for, essentially.
Brilliant. And we've had some students who, like, it's a tough market at the moment. It's the honest truth. So we've got students and who have applied for a couple of hundred of jobs, which is heartbreaking. But what's your advice in tailoring those resumes to different types of tech roles or companies? Do you think that's valuable? You know, would you tailor it to every kind of application? And yeah, if you'd mind sharing how important that can be.
I think it's. Oh, you go, Stu. You go.
I was just going to say, it's like I said earlier, you've just got to don't copy and paste. I know it's painful when a couple of hundred jobs applying for one. You know that, yeah, it's awful. But you've just got to stick at it. It is a difficult industry to get into sometimes. I feel like the funnel's the wrong way around. Like we've got this big swell of people already in the industry, and the funnel bit is at the top. So it's hard to get into. There will come a time, I think, in the next 5 or 10 years where all the Gen Xers start to retire and fall out of tech, that the shortages are going to become really apparent.
Yeah.
But yeah, perseverance. And when you get, if you get to an interview, you've really got to want the job. You have to be enthusiastic and happy once you're in that interview space. But getting there is sometimes, I've got to be honest, it is sometimes difficult. You just got to keep chipping away at it. Again, don't overqualify yourself for the job. I've got to keep reiterating that because that's what happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can, like if you're doing your PY, that's great because you'll do an internship at the end of your PY. If you're not, you know, you've got me here. I can help on the mainland as well. If you can get an internship or do some work experience in the city that you're living in, that's also going to put you above as well because, you know, for me, I'd go, okay, well, this person's great. They've given me all these great examples of who they are as a person, but I've seen that they've done an internship at ABC company. I know the CEO. I can pick up the phone and call them, and then I can have a quick chat and find out who you are, and I'll give you an interview. And as she said, you know, the interview is really important. You've got to be prepared for that interview. I see so many, I've run interviews and people don't even know what the job is. And I'm just like, well, I don't even want to talk to you for the next 45 minutes. Or, you know, it's really important. And we'll probably get onto that. Well, I know we're not talking about interviews now, but really have a think about some questions that they're going to ask you, especially around the behaviour-based questions, and really think about what your answer is going to be. Keep it to a minute to tell your story. Don't ramble on. And I'm a rambler. If I get nervous, I'll talk for about 5 minutes and you'll completely lose what I'm talking about. But that's the same thing in a job interview. I've asked questions and I'm watching the clock and someone's still speaking 4 minutes later. And I know what their dog had for breakfast. I know what the time on the wall is, but I'm not really sure what the answer to the question I've just asked. So just be really, really prepared because you will come across so much better.
Yeah, we've got a great webinar that will be dedicated just to interviews alone in September. So we'll definitely put that in the post-event email because that's another whole big one to prepare for.
It's huge.
So we have touched on this a little bit, but I do think it's really important. So a bit of a scenario I had the other day, I think I was at Kaplan or SBI, and a student who had moved to Australia. So they were working in a tech role back home. They've moved to Australia to study. And she said, how do I explain to an employer my 3-year gap? And my question to her was, what were you doing? Were you working? And she said, yeah, I was working, but it wasn't in the industry. It was in retail. So it's a gap. And we've touched on it already, I know, but I just think this one's so important is if I have worked in a customer service role, say at McDonald's, 7-Eleven, Uber, or like how relevant are they and why are they relevant?
I think they're extremely relevant. Before I worked in tech, I worked in retail. I actually worked in childcare for a while. I drove taxis for a little while. I worked for a painter, and at the time I thought I was lost, but it was only when I got into tech that I realized that every single one of those jobs prepared me for a successful tech career, because it meant I was talking to people. And so we spoke about this, cultural fit earlier, and that's often around, being able to talk to people. And so I think resume, if I'm looking for someone on a help desk role or an entry-level role, if they've had that retail experience, I want to know that, because that's going to put them ahead for me, that they've been working and that they've got that customer-facing experience. And you can only get that. No one's some people are, but I'm quite shy, for instance, and it was only working in retail where I had to approach strangers every single day that I got used to doing that, right? And so that's how it works, right? So all of those, and in tech, like often, it's one of our traits. Sometimes we are a bit introverted or a bit shy. So all of those sort of work experiences lead you to your tech career. They're not detrimental to it, I don't think, in any way. And I don't know anyone that runs sort of tech teams that would think of that as being detrimental. They'd look at that as an actual positive. So as we said earlier, it's about the benefit that you bring to the organisation. So what am I, I know what my features are. My features are all my technical skills, but what are my benefits? And I can talk to people because I've been in retail for 3 years, and I've had to approach people and chat to them, and I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy finding the right outcomes for people in whatever situation or problem they bring to me. So like if you're working, that has to go on. It doesn't matter how irrelevant it is to the actual role. The fact that you're working and engaging in employment is super important.
Yeah, I'll echo that. It shows me that you've got the communication skills that you're picking up along the way. You're learning how to problem solve on the go. You're learning how to deal with difficult people. I used to work at a call centre for Qantas for my first job, and 9/11 happened, Anzac collapsed. The amount, hundreds of people I would speak to every day. So that was a big shock for me when I was 19 years old, having those conversations, but just really building up that resilience. And, if I see that you've had all these other jobs, I know that I can send you out to my other stakeholders to have conversations. Some of them might not be the easiest people to deal with, but let's say you've driven an Uber. I know you're going to be amazing at dealing with difficult people. I'm like, yep, you're going to be wicked at doing that, because I know exactly what sort of people that you're dealing with day in or day out, or any job that you're working with in customer service. You've just picked up golden skills that you need in any job.
Definitely. I think I worked in retail at a Baker's Delight for years, and I still probably reference scenarios from that job in my interviews today, because it's just, you learn so much. And I think if you can survive retail, you can survive anything.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
It should be
bars.
It should be a component, I think, of almost
100%
tech. Like even that often with the trainees that I had came through, I mean, they were coming through a vet pathway, but I'd always make sure that they did the customer service modules. They were optional for them, but I really wanted them to do them. So, and some of that was even just around answering the phone. And some of the etiquettes that you need to know, because we all have to do it. And all of those skills are relevant to tech. Tech's a service industry. That's what we are.
Yeah,
we are a service industry. So it's great.
Not many people are sitting in a room by themselves in the dark, not doing anything or talking to anybody else.
Except for me right now.
Except for you.
So I'm going to quickly round this out so we can move to the next section. So when we are referencing those jobs, it's really important to both Julia and Stuart reflected on the soft skills that come from working in those jobs. So when you do list it on your resume, rather than just saying I emptied the till or I did the cleaning, make sure you use those soft skills and really describe that customer service and that impact you make there. So we're going to move on to the final kind of phase, and then we'll go to our Q&A. So, Stuart, beyond the resume, what can candidates do to differentiate themselves in the application process?
It's a good question. Some of it's counterintuitive. When I was younger, we were told, use bright colours, and like Julia spoke about before, had pictures and put a photo of yourself and all that sort of stuff. That now the tools won't even put your application forward anymore. So again, it's got to be short, sharp, concise at the top. I want to know who you are really quickly. I'm probably busy as well. So if I've got a pile of 20 or 30 applications to go through, I'm probably going to read the top 2 or 3 paragraphs in the covering letter first, and you do a quick shuffle. And then when you get time, you dive in a little bit deeper, but you've really got to nail it in those first few sort of paragraphs in that cover letter. So, and again, like we keep talking about, have you written the application for the role? Have you told me who you are, and what you've done and what your benefits are for my organisation?
Yeah, definitely. And somebody's asked a question being like, I've been told that a recruiter will only take a few seconds to read your resume. So it is like you've got to make it short and sharp, because they do take, I think it's on average 60 seconds before they decide if it's in or out kind of thing. So it does have to be quite catchy.
So music's a good example here. When bands are giving demo tapes to try and get signed up, or writing their songs, they've got literally about 15 seconds for the hook in their song. Otherwise, the person's going to go on to the next one. And I think resumes are quite similar now. So you've got to have your hook in there early. So, and try not to use cliched words. I know I'm making it hard now, but again, I'm hardworking, I'm on time, etc. But I'm empathetic, caring, all those other words about who you actually are. That's what I want to know.
I also think LinkedIn is such a powerful tool. So I would spend time making sure that your LinkedIn matches your resume. So the things that you're saying on your resume are on your LinkedIn.
Because we are going to stalk you.
We will stalk you. I will stalk you to the ends of the earth. I'll probably look at your Facebook and your Instagram and your TikTok. I'll look at everything, but make sure that LinkedIn is just it's really clear. You've got your summary of skills on there, your projects, all the jobs that you've done. Don't leave gaps. Put all of those in there. Have a professional photograph. Don't have a selfie with your dog or, sitting in your car or something like that. Have something, because to me, I'm like, oh, they're not that serious. I want to see a professional photo. And just start connecting with people in the industry, join different networks, connect with different people. Don't bombard people with emails or messages, but just, watch what they're posting. You might want to comment, and just get to those networking events.
Like and subscribe.
And subscribe. But be known, get known.
And I guess that kind of follows on to the next question is, say I've applied for the job and I'm so keen, I'm very, very passionate and keen. What is the best way I can follow up on the application without being pushy?
I'd probably wait maybe 4 days and I would send an email. Just send one email.
Yep.
So I've recently applied for the role. I really enjoyed meeting you. I just want to express my enthusiasm and thank you for the opportunity. Don't call them every day. I get people that call me every day and I've just got, they sent me their resume and we got them set up the day before and they're ringing me the next day for an internship. It takes people a little while to make a decision, to have conversations with other people that might have been on the panel. You don't want to come across too pushy, because then you might have been great in your interview, but you'd be a bit pushy and you're just pushing yourself out of the running. So just one email, wait for the reply. Don't push.
Depends what the organisation is too. So if it's government, it's got to go through multiple layers
It'll
of
take forever.
checking. Yep. So it does take ages. If it's a smaller organisation, you might have more luck with an email. But this is and in some instances too, it still has to go back through an HR person. So the queries don't even get to the people that potentially interviewed you.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah,
And
it does take some
people,
patience.
Takes time, and a lot of people like HR are doing more than looking at recruiting, and the general manager or the CEO, whoever you had an interview with, is doing a lot of other things than recruiting as well. So, for us when we're looking for a job, it's really important, and we really want to know that outcome. But sometimes it's not on the top priority list. That job might not need to start for another 6 weeks. So there's no urgency for them. There's urgency for the person that's applying for the job. There's not a huge urgency to come back. So you've just got to be patient. And that is not one of my virtues. So I understand that it's really hard to be patient, but you need to be patient and just trust the process.
Wonderful. So we're going to go to Q&A because there's been so many great questions coming through. So I know we're slowly running out of time, so I'm going to kind of fire in one for one. Stuart, so given the rise of AI and automation is reshaping the job market, what unconventional or interdisciplinary skills should I emphasize in my resume to future-proof my ICT career?
Yeah, good question, and I can answer that one fairly easily. So communication. So essentially, AI is taking over a whole range of our tech roles pretty much. And what we look for is now we need people on our teams that fit our teams and are able to talk to the teams. So that communications piece we spoke about earlier. So the example with the retail person, that they're meeting people all the time. So as some of those technical skills start to fall away a bit, what we now need is people that can talk to the clients and understand what the clients' needs are to tailor the IT solutions we're going to provide to them. Now, I'm very much talking about a service sort of level tech roles here, which is a lot of them now. But just and when I'm talking to a few of the larger businesses down here in Tasmania, they're saying this is the first time they've been able to put new grads onto client-facing roles, and they're picking the grads that are able to listen to their client, because the grad can then go back and use the AI to develop the package or the application that the client is after, and that's all through using a little organic ears here and working out what the clients want. So communication skills, I think, are going to become of the utmost importance in tech moving forward.
Amazing.
Probably more so than ever, actually. The days of us sitting in our little closets and programming and coding, I think they've gone a while ago, but even more so now.
Gosh, yeah. Julia, this is a really great question because we do get a lot of international students saying, I'm willing to move. So do recruiters often overlook candidates who aren't based in the same region? And if I am applying for jobs in other states, do you have any strategies on what you'd recommend to improve my chances?
Don't say you're in another state.
Yeah.
Regardless if you're an international graduate or student or not, don't say you're in another state. You won't get a job interview. They'll make the assumption, and I've done it myself, they'll make the assumption that you're just applying for jobs everywhere. And if I take my time to interview you and you do get the job, I don't have any guarantee that you're moving here, that you will move here, when you will move here. It's too risky for the employer to put the time in. So I wouldn't say that I was in another state.
Brilliant. I agree with that. I think the days of having to know where you live in your resume, you don't really need to put your location at the top anymore. No, I don't think put any of that really.
Or your age, nothing like that. You don't need to put any of those things. And don't say, I want this job because I'm trying to get my visa.
Yeah.
Don't say that. In a job interview, in a cover, anything. Don't mention that.
100%. Stuart, so someone who has experience in government and regulations and are looking to pivot into the IT sector, not exactly a graduate, is there a concept of being overqualified if you are career changing?
No, you're just going to make sure that your previous career skills align with the area of tech that you want to get into in some way. So you've got to spin that to your benefit. Tech's so broad now, right? So depends on the role they're gunning for, really. But the pivot thing, I mean, I pivoted several times in my career, and sometimes I've even taken a step backwards to move forward again. But yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question. I think it depends on the role you're going for and the skills that you can bring to that role based on your past experience. Because your past experience, I think, is so important now. It's who you are. It's a whole range of skills and competencies that literally only you have, because we're all unique in that aspect. So really making sure that they kind of align with where you're trying to go, or at least that you can build on them into the next role that you're moving to. Like we've said over and over, tech skills can be taught, and it depends on the organisation anyway as to how they use them. So all organisations use things in different ways. You think of a product like Salesforce, for instance. Some organisations use it really well and others don't, but it can be cut and pasted in so many different ways to suit your particular, business. So, just try and work out what skills you're bringing from your previous role to the new one, I guess, and don't overqualify yourself for it or underqualify yourself, and don't undersell yourself for that type of role as well.
Amazing.
Can I just add something that I just said before? I just want to sort of, if you are in the city where the job that you're applying for, say you're in Hobart, Tasmania, if you're applying for a job, but if you're in Sydney applying for a job in Hobart, I wouldn't say that you weren't in Hobart. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're in the city, you have to say that you're there, but if you're not, I wouldn't say. But then it will still be obvious that you're not in the state. It's really, if you're not here and it's not obvious that you're here, you're probably not going to get a job interview.
Yeah. I will add to that one as well when we talk about people changing their careers. I think, and if you're struggling to find that job, I think find your old career industry, but look for tech roles in that industry.
Yeah.
Like we've got someone who said they were a bank manager back in my country. I've now studied IT to change my career to IT. So if I put bank manager experience on my resume, am I then overqualified? I think people are going to ask questions why you've changed, and that's an opportunity to tell them like about yourself, and that's what we've really talked about today is, tell them about your journey and tell them your story. But I think, if you're being a bank manager, look in the finance sector, they all have tech teams. So that could be a great way to get in because you've got that both sides of the story kind of thing.
And you understand the industry. You have that industry experience. You know what it's all about. It's very beneficial.
Amazing. We're going to go over time because there is some really top questions. So I hope you don't mind sticking around for another 5 minutes.
That's fine.
But Julia, where do I find networking events? We've touched on it a little bit about, there is opportunities at events, and we've actually held a webinar on how to network. But I'm a bit more introverted, and, we do emphasize that it's really about your connections and putting yourself out there. Where do you find those networking events and, that community?
LinkedIn would be my first point of call. I'd go to Meetup and have a look at Meetup and see what groups are in there. There's another group which it's gone out of my mind. It's orange background with white. You sell tickets on it. Can you remind me what that's called?
Eventbrite or
Eventbrite. Yeah, Eventbrite. Yeah. Sorry, I'm old and tired at 6 o'clock. So go and have a look at Eventbrite, see what events that are in your local area. So LinkedIn, Meetup groups, Eventbrite, and just once you start connecting more with different people and joining like ACS, Sec Talks, AWSN, TAS ICT, or your local IT membership groups in your own state, things will start popping up. You'll start seeing them everywhere, but you've got to go. You have to go.
So we have a bit of a motto at ACS as if we've got what we call our emerging professional committees, and their goal is to not ever have anyone standing on their own. So if you're a member, Jasmine will, towards the end, send some links on how to join our LinkedIn groups for your state. We'll promote events in there, but you can pop on there and say, this is my first ever event. Can I have a buddy? And we'll introduce you to somebody as well. So that way you're not on your own, because it is terrifying. It's scary. We've all been there. So definitely don't feel, that you can't come along. Stuart, this one's pretty relevant to you, actually, to your career pathway. As someone who is transitioning back to tech, 2 of my last 5 years are in childcare, but my work experience in tech goes beyond that. Should I still limit my resume to the last 5 years, or should I, as I've been told, or
No, I'd in this instance, I'd actually make sure that my tech skills are there, because it just shows that you've done it, right? I think about this myself, actually. I used to love being in tech. I really did. I love going in and fixing stuff. That's what attracted me to tech. And I haven't been to tech now for quite a while. But I know that within 3 or 4 months, if I went back, I'd pick it all back up again and off I'd go. Because whilst platforms have changed, the interfaces have changed, etc., a lot of the concepts have stayed the same. But I know that I've got a thirst for learning, and I just enjoy it. So it's going to sink in, right? So I'd definitely be putting those that I've had. This is what I've done in the past. Again, it depends on the role. So some organisations, there's one down here I was talking to the other day. Their IT people, that they don't do anything bespoke. It's all pre-packaged that goes out to their clients. They try to keep it nice and simple. And so what they're looking for there is those sort of basic tech skills. It's nothing quite deep, but yeah, depending on what type of role it is. But I would absolutely make sure that I'd list it, but also talk about who I am, why I want to come back to tech, why am I leaving childcare to come back into technology, and who I am and what benefits I bring. Clearly, if you've been in childcare, you've got a lot of patience, a lot of resilience.
And that's those transferable skills, right? Like, you can bring them across.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was in childcare for 5 years. It's actually one of the reasons I ended up in tech, was because one of our parents looked after the traineeships for the education department, and so I'd been doing my networking, and I wanted to work in tech so bad, and he showed me where the applications were. I applied, I got an interview. I was pretty much over age for the job, but I gave it everything when I got in there. I had my suit, polished my shoes, and I just went in there. I wanted that job. So yeah, just all of those skills I think are relevant. Make sure you keep them. Make sure you let them know who you are, why you're coming back, and what you're going to bring to their culture.
Wonderful. And Julia, what are your suggestions on how long a resume should be in pages?
I'd try and keep it to 2, which I know is really hard to do, especially for me who's had a million jobs. Try and keep to 2 pages. As we said, recruiters or employers will only spend about a minute reading your resume. So keep it to 2 pages if you can. Just keep it very succinct to point. Don't waffle on. Make it very easy to read. 2 pages.
Now, we've had quite a few questions talk about the importance of resume compared to a cover letter. What's your both kind of quick thoughts on, is it worth putting the cover letter together and really putting that time in it if, the ATS is just going to check your resume and flick it, or, what kind of is your opinion on those ones?
My own experience, I read the cover letter first, and I tend to read all of it if it's not too long. I read the cover letter, and I want it short and sharp. I want to get a good idea for who you are. So I read the cover letter, then I quickly skim through the work experience, or if there is none, just have a look at what the quals are, and then I'll start to look at the resume. But yeah, you've got a pretty short window there. But I'm a cover letter reader. Some people aren't, but I do.
Yeah, I read the cover. I hate writing cover letters personally. It's like one of the worst things I've ever had to do in my life, but they are very important. And I'm the same as Stu. I'll read that cover letter, but don't make it too long.
No, and it's
One
again,
page, be very, very succinct in what you're saying. Sell yourself in that cover letter.
Yeah, and make sure that make sure you got the right job, because I've had cover letters before which they're clearly used for a different job.
Mm-hmm. I think I've probably done that myself, Stu, back in the day.
I definitely know when you're nervous and you're about to press the button and you've realised you haven't fixed it.
I know.
There's another
that email.
There's another part to this, though, is that if you're applying for a gov job, often there's a form that you have to fill out with the government jobs as well. And if that's not there, it doesn't get through. And the government particularly, you have to address the selection criteria, and not just through qualifications, but through actual examples of why you're good with the selection criteria. It's so important, because Gov are looking for excuses not to interview, essentially, whereas an organisation may be a little bit more loose on the selection criteria, but Gov is just absolutely rigid on that.
I just saw something pop up about ChatGPT. If you are using ChatGPT or AI, and everybody does it, it makes our lives easier. Just really read through what it said. Make sure, like I was saying before, it's not saying you're an expert in Python or something like that. Just really check what it's saying about you. Even, it'll put a hyphen in and it's a really long hyphen. As soon as I see that, I know that someone's used ChatGPT and we don't need the hyphen in there. But really, really read it. Change the words so it's in your tone and the way you speak. Like, it's okay to use it. We all use ChatGPT. Why wouldn't we? But really make sure that it's not obvious that you've used it, and it's not, selling you as like the best person in the world and the most experienced person in the world, because it loves you and that's what it wants to say about you. But just really make sure that you check what it says.
100%.
And take out those bloody long hyphens.
Yeah.
Take them out.
I'm going to be reviewing all my event briefs now, because I think I've been using the hyphens everywhere.
Yeah, they're real long. Apparently you can type in a code, but I just delete. I don't know how to do that. I just delete them.
Amazing. But yeah, we can spot ChatGPT written stuff a mile away. So use it, but then, tweak it and stuff too.
Yeah, just tweak it. Use your own. Don't use, and furthermore, which ChatGPT loves to say, take all of that out.
I'm going to look for these now.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, we've had quite a few questions asking for really tailored advice. So if your question hasn't been answered today, feel free to get in touch with us at acsstudent@acs.org.au. I'm happy to review your resume. Jasmine's here to help. Reach out to Julia and Stuart and ask if they have capacity. But we're here to help you with your resumes as well. Lucky last question for both of you. Julia, if you're happy to answer this one first. What is the final piece of advice you'd give to someone who is submitting resumes for their first tech job application? What is your lasting piece of advice you want to make sure they take with them?
Tell the truth. Don't make stuff up. I think tell the truth and get those communication skills across. They're really important, and that's what we're looking for. Really sell that.
And Stuart, what's your last piece of advice?
I don't want to end on a negative note. Don't be disappointed if you don't get a response, or if you don't get what you're looking for. It's a hard industry to get into. It really is. But once you're in, you are in for good. So you've just got to find that inner strength. I don't want to use the word resilience, but you just got to find your inner strength. Look after your mental health and your mental well-being, because you're going to get knockbacks, you're going to be disappointed. You've just got to keep searching for your job. And if you do get into that interview, you've really got to want it. You've got this 30-minute window now to show them who you are, to be happy when you walk in. You get to talk about yourself. It's the subject you know the most about. Come across with confidence, not arrogance, but just don't let it beat you. In other words, just don't let it beat you.
And you've got so many people that care about you and your journey that will help you. So reach out and if you need help, reach out and ask, because it's there and it will be given.
Amazing. Please, everyone, join me in thanking Julia and Stuart so much for their time this afternoon. We really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much for being part of this. Stick around. I'm going to quickly run through a bunch of ACS stuff, and then we can let you enjoy the rest of your evening as well. So I think Jasmine has popped through the links, but we welcome you to join our ACS Emerging Professional Community groups. We have one in each state, and the idea is we want you to be the first to hear about upcoming events, volunteer roles, job opportunities, but it's also an opportunity for you to ask questions. You can post yourself, promote if you've got, if you're going to your first meetup group event, post it in there and share it and really kind of build your community. So we welcome you to be part of those. we've touched on, we've got some really great events. So we do over 600 events a year at ACS, which is kind of mad, but it keeps us busy. So we've got some really great ones. So if you're based in WA, you've got Establish Your Personal Brand Online. So this is presented by the WA Emerging Professional Committee, a really great one. It's very exclusive. I think they're only opening it to 30, and it's going to be held at the Microsoft office. So a really great hands-on workshop to really understand how to bring your brand together. If you do miss any of these QR codes, don't stress. We'll include them in the post-event email as well. Our next Career Toolkit Series webinar will be Building Your Confidence. So from student to professional. So in this session, we're going to talk about, how do you combat imposter syndrome? How can you kind of build yourself up to go to that first event? How can you build yourself up to an interview, which can be very highly nerve-wracking? So we're going to share some tips and tricks and also some experiences as well. We've also then got how to make the most out of your student membership. So you'll be spending a lunchtime with Jasmine and myself, and we'll be talking about all our great benefits in more detail and demonstrate how to use our member platform, and a great way to also hear about our professional year program from Lamo Mark, who's the operations manager. We also then have a great coding masterclass with one of our partners, being Academy of Interactive Technology. So this one's a great way to kind of turn your web server into an MCP server. Apologies, the design's a little bit blurry, but check it out on the website and we'd love for you to come along. And then another one, so interview mastery. So we just talked about the importance of your interview. So come along to this one where we're really going to dive into how can you best prepare for that interview? What do you prepare in advance? What do you wear to it? Can you approach it? And we will provide some insights for that one as well. And we've got a really great tool as well. So My Sophia. So this is a great platform where you can kind of match your skill sets and do a self-assessment. And it can help you understand where you sit in the industry, but also what's needed to meet that next career goal. So if you are currently applying for so many jobs and you kind of like, what am I missing? You can actually plug those job titles into this platform. It will match your skill sets against it. And it will also provide you some online learnings to help you kind of fill that gap as well. So a great platform that has some really great opportunities within there. And it's really worth kind of setting aside half an hour to give this one a go. We'll provide some links on how to get to it and how to use it in the post-event email. But we'll be also doing a demonstration in that how to make the most out of your membership webinar as well. And if you're not already yet a member, please feel free to check out our website for the different membership tiers. If you are currently studying, you may qualify for our complimentary student membership. If you're not sure if you do or not, again, reach out to Jasmine and myself and we can check that one for you as well. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and we're slowly building up our Instagram again. So follow us online for more details and see what's happening at ACS. But thank you so much. We would really appreciate getting your feedback. So if you're happy to complete the short survey via the QR code, or Jasmine will provide a link in the chat as well and in the post-event email. But we're really looking to shape this series. We come up to 12 months of it in October. So we're kind of looking to what the next 12 months looks like. So thank you for completing it as well. But again, thank you, Julia and Stuart, so much for your time. We really appreciate your advice and everything too.
Thanks for having us. That was really fun. I want to do more.
Yeah, it was great. You've been a great audience. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.